Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining me today. I have some artwork from Nathaniel to share with you, and I really love this picture. I know you're going to love it too. He's been, during the summer at his extended school year, he's been doing a lot of water theme. They've got like a whole theme going during summer school, and it's so cool. Look how he's mixing colors. This is obviously purple and red and blue. I think the red and blue they're mixing together to try to get some purple. Hi, Anne Marie. How are you? Thank you for everybody for stopping in. So this is really cool, and we gave Nate lots of accolades because it's just really cool. And he has a tough time sitting still to do something, and we're so proud of him. So isn't this awesome? It's the coolest. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Karen. I'm glad you guys could stop in. This is from Nathaniel at his summer school. Hi, Sharon. Good evening. So I wanted to share that with you guys. And also, we went last weekend on a family outing, just kind of like an impromptu adventure. We went to a lighthouse that's here in New Jersey that's only about maybe a half an hour from our home, and it's called East Point Lighthouse, and I snapped a few pictures I thought I'd share here today. So this is the boys, and I just printed these on my printer. I'll print out some nice ones at the drugstore, and that way I'll be able to scrapbook them. But I thought this would be a great tool for scrapbooking. We don't have the best poses from the kids because they have a little challenges doing that. So it's a little funny. But anyways, here's both the boys. This is Trip and this is Nate. And the lighthouse is like around the corner, and it is on the shore in New Jersey. So we live not too far from the shore, and this is the actual lighthouse. This is me and my husband Gary, and the lighthouse is there, but there's like a house built around the bottom of it. It's very unique, and it's a historic site. Of course, it's was built in the 1800s, and it was really good to get to see it. Seeing things in photos is always great, but getting to see them in real life is a good experience. And then here's all of us. And of course, lighthouses are always on the seashore because that's where the boats can see them. And this was a really worn down area because this is a historic site. Then you can tell where this once upon a time was a place where boats could launch, and there's still sort of a man-made boat launch right here, but really interesting place. And this is, Trip is putting his tongue out. Anytime you say smile, then that child puts his tongue out, like every single time. That's crazy. Karen's daughter is in Washington. Is it Washington Township, New Jersey? Because I do know of a Washington Township. We have been there several times. Thank you, Anne Marie. I'm pretty happy, pretty proud of my family too. They are pretty awesome. We have some rough days with our special needs, but we make it through one day at a time. And every morning we wake up and we say, today's another good chance to make a better day than it was yesterday. It's really hard with special needs. They need all the encouragement that they can in order to feel like they're overcoming a lot of disabilities. Thank you, Sharon. So I do have a few pieces of Happy Mail. I wanted to share this Happy Mail from my friend BJ, and she was telling me about a card, and then she sent me the card, which was amazing. So thank you, BJ. And isn't this the coolest? This looks like a multi-layered stamp, and she's even given special treatment to the eyes, and looks like there's some stickles here for little bubbles. It's so pretty. You did a great job, BJ. I love this. I like how you tilted the paper. Washington, Karen says Washington by Clinton. Oh, that's North Jersey, yes. That's probably about 3.5 hours from me. And then here's, she always puts her Bible verse inside, and wonderful card by BJ. Thank you again. Thank you once again, BJ. I love it. And I have another card here, and this is from Lindsay Roberts, and she lives in Virginia. And she just sent this as a rack card, and rack means random act of kindness. And I adore this. I like how she's paired up all of these blue tones. And I really like it. Well done, Lindsay. It's very nice. And there's a really nice note on the inside, too. Very cool card. And I like how this ribbon kind of transitions all of the areas. Very, very nice. Thank you so much, Lindsay. So I have some of the housekeeping to get to, and then I'll answer some questions. So if you have any questions that you want to ask me and have me answer for next week's video, or you can have me, if I can answer it today, then please do so. Write a comment, ask me. You can ask me about a specific card on my blog, which people do, and I'm able to explain it a little bit more in detail here during the live videos. And the same thing for any of the videos that I make that are voiceover videos. Then ask me a question and I'm happy to expound on some kind of information. So July's host code is still going strong. We're not going to have it for much longer, but please do make sure that you use the host code DR9VFD4S. And you can shop online at jennyhalldesign.com. Just click that button that says Shop Now. We are down to almost the end of the free color family promotion by Stampin' Up. That when you get a starter kit for $99, you get to choose $125 worth of products. There is no shipping on that starter kit, and they throw in an entire ink pad family, which is 10 ink pads. And that is like a $70 value. So it's amazing. Hi, Debbie. How are you? Thanks for stopping in. My blog, Karen, is jennyhalldesign.com. So some people, there are actually many people who subscribe at my blog. There's a search field that is, if you go to jennyhalldesign.com, look on the right-hand side. I don't have anything on the left. It's just text, where the card information is. But on the right, there's some different click links you can get to. One of them is Shop Now. One of them is to join my team. One is Paper Pumpkin. And there's a search bar, and there's a subscribe, like a little open bar area, and you can type in your email address and you can subscribe to my blog. What that does is it gives you every single day that I post a new project, and I post almost every day, almost 7 days a week. Sometimes I skip a day if I've had if my schedule is overbooked and the kids are needing a little bit more attention. But you can subscribe and you will get every single day the blog post that I make. It'll come to your email box. So that's at my blog. So look for that little thing on the right hand side where it says subscribe, and then that's how you can find it right there. So don't forget about this promotion. I've had a number of inquiries, and they are questioning whether they can join and get the starter kit for $99, pick $125 worth of products, get the free stamp pad family, and then not make any more purchases. And I wanted to clarify, yes, indeed, that is true. Yes, we would love to have you stay on and get discount on your craft supplies or make a business, anything that works out for you. But if you choose to just take advantage of this offer and then not make any more purchases and go back to being a customer, yes, that is also... I know that's a little bit, there's some question marks there, but I can talk to you privately about this if you have a question about it. But I've had a number of inquiries, and yes, this is in fact the case. So when you get this and you join my team, you would be a member of my stamping team, and we're called We Create. And my team, I can't say enough good things about my team members because they are all a light in my life. I love them so much. And one of the huge perks is that all my team members get all my tutorials for free. All my online classes, everything they get for free. So it's a big, huge perk there. And we all go, you know, we can go to on stage together. We share our projects. We have a wonderful sense of camaraderie. It's just, I can't say enough good things about them. And that's one of the blessings that I've had in my life from Stampin' Up, is being able to be a part of a team of stampers that are just absolutely wonderful. And so this is what it looks like to hold an entire family of stamp pads in your hand. That's what it looks like. And that's 10 stamp pads. And it really is amazing. So we're almost at the very end of the Designer Series paper sale also, and that's the buy 3, get 1 free. You pick 3 of these, and then you pick another one and you get it for free. So you get to save $11 if you're in the United States. And the page numbers are here on this flyer too. So this is also, more information is at my blog, jennystampsup.com. And we're almost done, and we'll get to our project, or we'll get to our questions. Paper Pumpkin has got a 50% off the first month if you are a new subscriber. So if you sign up now at Paper Pumpkin, then you can get 50% off if you're a new subscriber. So what if you're already a subscriber and you've gotten some kits before in the past, and they are like you dropped back off, you just wanted to get the special. You can continue to do that. You have to come up with a new email address. That's how Paper Pumpkin identifies you. And Paper Pumpkin is independent, has an independent account from Stampin' Up. So your Stampin' Up account does not affect your Paper Pumpkin account. I hope that makes sense. And by the way, if the video gets a little bit too dark, let me know and I'll turn some lights on. But this is all natural light today. It seems that we've got a very cloudy sky today. So if you have any questions about Paper Pumpkin, then let me know. And yes, every single month I come up with at least 3 to 4 alternative tutorials that are based on that month's Paper Pumpkin kit, that you can create alternative card ideas with your own Paper Pumpkin kit. And these are all my originals. This is not a co-op with another demonstrator. This is just me making up the extra cards and making a tutorial. And if you're already a subscriber and you want to just purchase the tutorial, then yes, you can do that too. Go to my blog at jennystampsup.com and then click the tutorials page, and you'll have access to all of my tutorials. And you can purchase them outright, or you can purchase products and earn them. There's an explanation on the sheet, on the page, on how to do it. So I want to remind you that starting on August 1st, then you can take advantage of the Color Your Season. This is wonderful. I have been using these products since I got them, and I am so excited. In fact, we'll be using the dies today in our project, and they're amazing. If you're a demonstrator, then you can order this today. You don't have to wait. And coming on August the 1st is the pre-order, or one of the first few days of August is the pre-order for the holiday catalog from Stampin' Up. So if you're a demonstrator, then you get to have early access to all of Stampin' Up's catalogs, and the holiday catalog is no exception there. So if you have any questions about that, just leave me a comment and ask, and I'll get right back to you. So Susan had a question about this card. This is a card that was on my blog this week. I did not make a video for it. A lot of times I do some really quick card making sessions, that like while the kids are at school, or maybe after they've gone to bed, and I can just knock out a card or two and maybe work on some tutorials or online classes. But this card, Susan had a question about, and I did not make a tutorial for it. This card almost went in the trash a couple of times, and I'll explain why about that. it just wasn't working out for me. This whole front piece is watercolor paper. And I used watercolor paper because I wanted to get a really smooth blend with that ink blending. There is a few layers of stamping that are on the card, and I can, because I haven't sent this card out, I have the ability to take off some of these leaves, and they're not die cut, they're all fussy cut. It's a labor of love, my friends. So you can see what the color transition looks like to get from this very light, gorgeous grape out to where it fades underneath the leaves. And I did use, this is with Healing Hugs stamp set, and I did use it looks like maybe some herbs. This looks like a large leaf herb, and this looks like a small, like a stemmed herb. And I used second generation of gray underneath that. So that's a really better look at what it is. And I know whenever I make the videos, I'm able to show a little bit better how something goes together. And it's not as easy to understand whenever we have something that we're just looking at. So I cut all of these out, and they just go right on with mini glue dots. I put the end of the stem underneath another leaf, and that is the base design for a wreath card. And I just continue that all the way around. And so a lot of that gray stamping is just atmosphere, because if I were to have just the vellum itself, then there might be something missing. I just feel like that's why I added the berries and the little dots with the purple marker and the artisan pearls, because a wreath card needs to be more than just a leaf. It needs to be something that provides the overall design that will bring your eyes to the leaves and sink further into the design. I hope that makes sense. So Susan, I'm happy to give you a little bit of a closer look at this. Thank you, Anne-Marie. I'm glad you like it. I thought of you. I might actually send this to you. So today's card is going to be a little bit different. I have made one of these cards, but it's been an extremely long time. This is not a new card design. This card design with the window sheet front has been around for a very long time. It's something that a whole lot of crafters have made. I'm sure there are tons of card making videos, and I'm sure I have seen them. The reason that I chose to make this is because I like this die cut to be featured. I want to see this die cut. I'm going to go to the trouble to cut this very large die cut out, and I want it to really make an impact. Oh, hi Betty. I'm so glad that it's a pretty day. It's very dreary here. So as I've shared with you friends here, if the lighting gets too dark, then let me know, because this is all natural light. And I can turn some lamps on, and that will help. So we're going to put this card together from start to finish. I've already cut out all of the paper, got it to the right size so that it won't take us forever and a day to put it together. But I made a prototype because I made it in a couple of different ways. So the first thing is we've got this piece of window sheet, and it is secured to I think this is fresh fig panel. Now this is not a whole card base with fresh fig, because I don't need that two flap card base. I have a flap here. But how do I make this little piece hide? So the designer series paper is actually holding this flap in place between the cardstock. And we'll get to that part whenever we get there. But we're going to make this card all the way from start to finish. And this paper is so gorgeous. I love it so much. But I have a very hard time design-wise being able to fit it into something with the stamping. I know that everyone has their personal preference on how they like to have everything. Thank you, Kathy. I'm glad you liked that Get Well card. So that's why this has evolved out. So if you're looking for more ideas on a kind of a card that has this window sheet on the front, then just search YouTube or search over at Google, and you can find loads of information and how-tos and tutorials. This tutorial is just a very, very basic, very basic. We're going to keep it very simple, easy and elegant. So I'm going to start out and work with this piece of designer series paper. This is from Petal Promenade, and this is what it looks like on the back. And yes, I did consider using the back side too. I always consider flipping it over, but I like this. I like this piece. It has a lot of nice colors. We have these little cabbagey type of ornamental plants that are in the fall. We get these a lot in our landscaping here in New Jersey because it gets cool. And I think these will not survive the summers here. Yes, Kathy, that Thinlit is wonderful. I like it too. But I have a hard time, because it's so big, I have a hard time working it into my designs. The same thing with the pattern paper, because I see this and my brain just starts going, it's too much, it's too much, it's too much. So I want to back away from it and just kind of see what I can do with it and put things in more of a design perspective. So I've got this already die cut. This is from Springtime Impressions Thinlits, and I die cut it ahead of time so that we won't be having to wait for that. So this is a Thinlits die that has 3 pieces. It has this really large butterfly, a small flower, and a gigantic cluster of flowers. And it is amazing. I've seen some demonstrators do some amazing stuff with it. I am not one of those demonstrators that's able to easily use it. In fact, it took my friends to convince me that I even needed to work with this. And you friends know who you are. So I'm going to also use the new and upcoming Stitch Seasons framelits. And I have to tell you, friends, I am in love with these double-stitched label dies. They are just incredible. There's 3 different sizes, and there's all these other wonderful dies that are accompanying it. But it's these label dies, the double-stitch dies, those are the ones that I adore. And this is the medium size. You can see here, it's the medium size die. So I've done that die cut in advance as well. And then we will be stamping here with Abstract Impressions. And I very much like these 2 sentiments. Of course, you know, some of the other ones are great too, but I really like this one about kindness. And I thought this would be an appropriate sentiment with it being a see-through card, because a see-through card is more apt for somebody to be able to display it. So I'm just going to put this on a clear block, and I'm using the low profile paper pumpkin block because I can position it easier. The thinner the block, the easier it is for my eyes to be able to get it in the right place. So I love those paper pumpkin blocks. So if you are a paper pumpkin subscriber, then you get one of these in your first kit. So hang on to this. And if you're a demonstrator, you can order those paper pumpkin, these low profile blocks too. So this is a really nice photopolymer double stamp set. It's really cool. But the sentiments truly steal the show for me. Hi Fran, how are you? I'm so glad you could stop by today. All right, so we're going to start the assembly here, and I first am going to stamp my sentiment because I want it to have lots of time to dry. I'm lining these little points of the framelit on this crosshairs of my grid paper. so that I know that I can try to stamp this as straight as possible. So I'm going to use Fresh Fig because Fresh Fig is one of the colors in the Designer Series paper. So I'm just going to stamp this to where the word changes is going to be on the crosshairs. That's going to help me line it up. It still may end up a little bit crooked, but I'm trying my best, and that counts. Hi Pat, how are you? I'm good to see you here. So this is a nice thick font, and it's going to need the time to dry. So I'm going to set that aside, and we will start putting together the card. But I need to give you the measurements, and they will of course be in the video description, and then this project will be blogged in a couple of days. But this back panel is Fresh Fig, and it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. This piece of Petal Promenade Designer Series paper is also 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I have the large Abstract Impressions bundle. I've got there, let's see, it's called Springtime Impressions. And this is the large one. I had a little piece that was 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it was able to die cut on that. So I'm going to set this to the side. I've also got a piece of window sheet that is 4 1/4 by 6 inches. So here's what the size of a card is, standard A2. And you can see here, I'll make sure that it's very clear, that there is an overhang. And that overhang is necessary because we're going to need to score this plastic and adhere it down. So when you're working with window sheet, the best kind of adhesive is the strongest adhesive you have at hand. Hi, Debbie. Oh, I love it too. Hi there, Cindy. So I'm going to need to score this, and because I cut it to 6 inches and my other pieces are 5 1/2 inches, I'm going to score that 1/2 of an inch down. So I'll take the short end of my Stampin' trimmer, I'm going to move it to the 1/2 inch mark. I think I'll do it this way. Now there's 2 ways that you can get a really good score mark. And the first way is you can use your Stampin' trimmer to do the little score piece, or you can use your bone folder and you can kind of close the little door down and then just press as hard as you need to, keeping in mind that this is plastic, and what happens when you give too much pressure to plastic, it will break. So that is definitely something to watch out for. So let's give this a nice score. I'm going to use my Stampin' trimmer. I'm going to run it back and forth many times, and I'm using my my fingers to be able to tell whether or not I'm giving enough pressure. And it looks like this is standing up pretty good to it. In fact, I'm going to give it just a little bit more. And I'm going to use my bone folder here. I don't want to give it too much. I don't want to break the plastic. But I want to make it, I want to encourage it to move. And yes, you can see here that it's already encouraged to fold back. Fran is not able to stamp straight without the grid paper. You and me both, my friend. Okay, so I'm going to fold this back along that score line, and I'm going to use my grid paper again. There's so many uses for the grid paper that it's wonderful, to make sure that I don't fold it wonky. Ask me how I know. That's because I have folded one wonky, and it needs to be positively straight or the card is not going to open and close and lie down the right way.
Thank you, Mama.
Hi, Nicola. So I'm going to push the score down and burnish it over and over again with my bone folder here. I'm giving it a lot of pressure, making sure that I get this fold really, really, really in tight. And if I've got cushion, then I might not get enough. So putting it on a harder surface, such as like on this stamp pad, say for example, if I have something that's going to hard surfaces, then that will help me to get a much better, there we go. So I've got this little wonderful flap now. And now I can add the tear and tape. Tear and tape is probably the strongest adhesive that I use. There are lots of different things that lots of different people use. I happen to really like tear and tape because it gives me the ability to put it in place without messing up my fingers. And liquid glue doesn't offer me that opportunity. Okay, so first I'm going to use the backing of the card base. And I'll remove that tear and tape. Remove the backing from the tear and tape. And I want to give both of my edges a nice, like, I'm going to make sure that they're even at the bottom. So I'm going to hold them together, and then while they are squared off and not wanting to move in my hand, which they might, then I will attach the flap here directly down to the cardstock. Now, if you have questions along the way, please be sure to ask, and I can show you a better look at something. So I'm using my bone folder to now activate all of that adhesive to where there is no chance that this plastic flap is going to come away from the cardstock, okay? And I did place my adhesive closer to the top instead of the bottom because this is where the pressure of the fold is going to need to be reinforced. So as the pressure of the plastic moves up and down from the cardstock, you can see it's going to bow the cardstock. Watch. So I want to make sure that it stays intact at the top. So now it's going to be easy work to just adhere this in place. Fran uses her scoreboard. Bye, Nicola. Thanks for stopping in. I think that's great, Fran. Your scoreboard can be all sorts of wonderful help. My kids love my scoreboard, so sometimes I pull it out and I let them just score things because it's a fun sensation for them. They absolutely adore it. So this piece has got liquid glue, not too close to the edge because I don't want it to squirt out everywhere. And I'm going to line it up on the top and the sides. I'm using liquid glue because it'll afford me just that few extra seconds to move things around. Okay. So now this is the basic design of a see-through card. The principle is that we have a card base, and so it has an accent of color, a coordinating piece of designer series paper, and then we can do anything we want on this front flap here. Anything. We could put just a single butterfly, which I do have one. I have a spare butterfly in my die cut. In my my Thinlits case. So let's just kind of look at what that would see. Now this is, if we were to just put a butterfly here and make this card, it would be, when you open it up, there would just be a beautiful butterfly there. So oh I'm sorry, Nicola, I messed up. Yes, Betty has to run off to work. She always stops and says, hello on her work days too. Okay, so this is the main thing I wanted to share, is take the mystery out of this whole design of having a clear card front. You could use vellum on the front and do exactly the same thing. The whole point of the fold is to make sure that this front flap is trapped in between the cardstock and the designer series paper. So it is a wonderful opportunity to use the paper that perhaps you're like me and you have a piece of paper that is too pretty to cut, or that it's so pretty and you don't know how to feature it. Well, there it is, it's featured, and there's not a lot I can do better than to let the paper really show itself. All right, now that I've got my 3 pieces all assembled, I'm going to use my bone folder again, and I'm going to reinforce that fold. So because this window sheet is so thick, is that liquid glue? It is liquid glue. That means I used a little too much someplace. It's kind of squirted out on the side. So I want to be careful when I'm using my bone folder and not like squish all the glue out to one side. But I want to make this top lay down. I don't want it to completely, I don't want it to stand up like this. Now while it's in the, while it is in the envelope, it will be encouraged also. I'm going to turn over this grid paper because I've got that little bit of glue there and I don't want the glue to get stuck on everything else. There we go. All right. So now you can take the opportunity to add a sentiment, and it doesn't necessarily have to go on the front or the inside. It could be on the back. This is what it would look like on the back, and then you can just leave this like this on the front, and then we're going to work on adhering our large die. But I like the idea that it can speak from the inside, and the sentiment that says kindness changes everything is, I mean, that's just wonderful. I couldn't do any better than that. So I'm going to go ahead and put some of these dimensionals. Uh-oh, this one is just about used up. I can use it in the center. I use the dimensionals until they are completely exhausted. So I'll add just a few more around. Hi Regina, thanks for stopping in. So before I remove the backing on these, the last thing I'm going to do is to put this on the front. So I want to go ahead and decorate the inside, and on my prototype I've gotten this beautiful velvet ribbon, and I added this ribbon, excuse the cuckoo clock. I added the ribbon because this card is full of texture, and who sees velvet and doesn't want to touch velvet? I know I do. So I'm going to take a length of this beautiful velvet, and this is officially called velvet ribbon. And it's rich raspberry. So it's rich raspberry velvet ribbon. So I'm going to measure out what it would look like if I were to bring out to the side here and come back around. And then cut it about here. That will work. So I can take my dimensional backing off now. And I want to share a little bit of a trick on ribbon. Everyone has their favorite way of adhering ribbon, and I love hearing all the different ways that people like to share their ideas. So what I'm going to do is get this ribbon in place of what it would look like. And I want it to kind of stagger those points like this. And then I can add some snail, or you can use whatever your preferred adhesive is, but I'm adding a generous amount of snail to the back side of this beautiful label. Okay, there we go. So that the whole thing is filled up with all sorts of adhesive. So now I'm going to kind of push this in place and pick up the ribbon so that it's exactly the way that I want it to be. So does that make sense? I hope it does. If it doesn't, please ask. And the reason I do it like that, and now you could lay that on your silicone mat if you want to make sure that the adhesive doesn't stick to your grid paper. Once I get ribbon in place, then sometimes if I'm wrangling with that ribbon, it can get very tedious. So now, as you can see, there it is. It is really stuck in place. So this will just go right in the middle. So I'll center that here. And you could also add some sequins if you like. Okay, and I'm going to make sure I center those points by first making sure I have a flush end. So the lines that go on my grid paper, I want to follow the bottom of the card on that. And then make sure that I have each one of these little points on the crosshairs of my grid paper. And now I know it's straight. Very easy. You could use a ruler to do that. Now I've gotten some adhesive, looks like it's stuck there, so I can go back and buff that off later. So now we're going to add this beautiful die cut. It's going to kind of get hidden, that little piece of adhesive there. So here come my favorite MGDs, mini glue dots. You guys know that I'm a big fan of mini glue dots for many reasons, and I'll share some of them with you here today. The first one is that it is a no-mess adhesive. Mini glue dots usually go into place easy and they stay there, and unlike liquid glue, mini glue dots are not going to spread out like how I used my bone folder. Some of the liquid glue kind of exploded out the side. I tried not to use too much, but that's a challenge that I deal with, is not adding too much glue. So I'm going to fold these in half. And that's the second reason why I like mini glue dots, is because not only are they pretty much a mess-free adhesive, but I can move them and I can build them up a little higher. So I use my paper piercing tool or the end of my scissors, and I just push it up on itself and then push it back the other direction, and I have something that's going to be low profile, lower than my Stampin' Dimensionals, but it's not going to make the die cut lay flat against the card. It's going to lift it up just a bit. So I'm going to place these in strategic locations that I think may help the die cut to lay down. Like if I know that it's going to maybe get caught on the envelope in a couple of different places, and I want to place this mini glue dot in an area that has a larger amount, like it's not a very tiny space of the paper. The intersection where the paper meets, I want to make sure that I use as much paper contact as I can, like the intersection between this flower and the smaller flower. And if it stretches out, that's all the better. That means it gets me more space that it covers. Okay. So mini glue dots. They are this crafter's BFF. Hi, Linda. Kathy is asking, could one use an adhesive sheet on the cardstock before cutting with a thinlet? Yes, you absolutely can. I didn't do this because when I do have that adhesive on this large of a piece, sometimes I find that when it has the Sizzix adhesive on the back, if I touch one part, that stuff is so strong that I'm going to be ripping it off the paper, and then this paper is going to tear, or this paper is going to tear, something. So if I have it put down to a piece of cardstock and then I trim it, then I'm cool with the Sizzix sheets, the adhesive sheets. But if it's something that I'm going to have to place strategically, like on this piece of clear, I need to put it down in just the right place, then I find that mini glue dots work better for me because there's not sticky everywhere, and the mini glue dots allow me to pick it back up. So that's one of the wonderful things about mini glue dots. I can't say enough good things about mini glue dots. Okay, so see, I was able to get this down, and it's not sticking to my hands, and it's not sticking to the plastic in the wrong place. It just works best for me. So then I'll open this, and I can see where the mini glue dots are. And you can use your bone folder, but I'm just using my fingernail. And I'm making sure that there's a very good contact between the mini glue dot and the plastic, because I do not want it to come up. So I'm just making sure that I spread that out a little bit by giving it a little pressure, and then it's going to be in place. Now, if something happens and the mini glue dot or liquid glue or whatever it is kind of spreads further than you want it to, then that's when I would use my embossing buddy and kind of just pounce it around, and the adhesive is going to get that cornstarch stuck to it, and it will not be sticky anymore. So that's kind of the little trick that I use for deactivating adhesive. You're welcome, Kathy. I'm happy to help with that. I have the adhesive sheets, and I do use them in different instances, but this is just this way works best for me, and that's what I think is important to so many crafters, is that everybody has something that works best for them, and it's not going to work best for everybody, but that's cool, you know, however it works best for that person. And so this is what the end result is, and this card looks pretty much like this one. It worked out pretty good. And remember, you can always just move the sentiment to the back if you want to have it be straight, if you just want it to be the designer series paper. Some wouldn't get this and just open it up and touch that velvet ribbon, which is why I put it this way, so that it would have some space to be able to move your hand over it. And this card sits up nicely. You can see, and it is top folding for this reason, for the, you know, just so that I'm able to send it to somebody and have it display like that, and they'll be able to read the sentiment wherever they have it displayed. They'll be able to read the sentiment for the card. Kindness changes everything, and that's really cool. I really like that. So this is our project for today. I hope that you have enjoyed it and gotten wonderful new ideas on how you may be able to create this design that has the clear front, and I really like it. It's not going to be every single card because there's less paper here, and I mean the plastic is a novelty. It's not something that I think I can replace my paper projects with. You could also use one of our clear envelopes, and it has the adhesive strip on the back, so you could also place a clear envelope in its place, and it's a lot more soft and it's a lot more pliable. I'll grab one and show you. So let's take a quick look. This is an envelope that I had something else in. So this envelope kind of works the same way, but the one thing you would not be able to do is to trim it down, because then you'll have this two plastic flaps that are kind of hanging around and going crazy. So my suggestion would be, if you want to use this, then don't plan on it being one of the flaps of your card. The reason that the thick plastic works is because it is strong enough to stand up on its own. So if you were to use one of these clear envelopes, then it could be like an overlay to a piece of cardstock. Maybe we'll try that in another future tutorial. So if I were to have this butterfly here and adhere over just a regular card, then I could lift the flap. It'd be like a little novelty, definitely a novelty. You're welcome, Debbie. Thank you, Sandy. Thanks, Sharon. Thank you, everybody. I'm so glad that you like this. Thanks, Betty and other Sharon and Anne Marie and Cheryl, my dear. You were up very late. So this is a really easy demystified look at the clear front card. So if you're going to try this, then I would love to see your results, and you could share it with me by emailing it to me, or you can give me a link to your, if you have a blog, then give me a link to your blog and I'll go over and visit it. I would love to see what you come up with. It's so much fun. It's just something different. Well, thank you so much. Again, I want to thank you for stopping in with me today and spending the time together crafting. And if you have any questions, even after the video, then be sure to leave it in the video comments, whether you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, and I'll be sure to get back to you. Now that's how I got the question about this card here, was from Susan, because she asked a question about it. So I was able to help give a better look at this card because Susan asked. So thank you so much, Susan. And also, if anybody has a stamp set, bundle, whatever the product is that you would like to see on a live video, then please let me know. Hi, Evelyn. Thank you. Thank you for stopping in. If anybody has a special request or even a technique, then leave it and I will add it to my list. And I'm pretty caught up on the requests that people have asked for, but I'm always looking for new ideas because I get kind of stuck sometimes myself too. And when you ask for something in particular, then it kind of helps me get my creative imagination moving, and my team is really good for that too. Betty, that was on here earlier, is a team member, and she made a card this week that I'm so going to copy and case and give her the credit. So Betty Johnson, yes, you know the card I'm talking about. It was with this beautiful butterfly, and she created a card where the butterfly came through. So I'll have to be working on that one soon. Fran is asking, have I figured out Pop On Buy bundle? I'm not sure exactly which one that is. It's not something that I have purchased. So, I don't know. I'll have to check it out. Is that the one with the house that comes out? Because if it is, then no, I haven't. I didn't get that. One of the questions that somebody had emailed me that I forgot to, I planned on answering earlier and I forgot, was do Stampin' Up! Demonstrators get free items that they show on their videos and on their projects, or do they purchase all of their items? And I thought that was such a great question that I wanted to take a second to be able to share the answer. So, Fran says, yes, that's the one. No, I haven't tried it yet, Fran, because I don't have that product. It looks really cool though. So I'm sorry I can't. But the answer is yes and yes, no and no. So Stampin' Up! Demonstrators share the products that they have in their hands. And the way we get them in our hands is that we purchase them at a discount from Stampin' Up! And it's called a demonstrator order. But when we attend a Stampin' Up! Event, that is an event, there's 2 of them per year called On Stage. When we attend, we get a lot of free items. There's something called Prize Patrol that people probably understand what it is. Prize Patrol means that you get a free item, and you could walk away from that event with 5 free items. You could walk away with less, you could walk away with more. But when you attend an onstage, event, then yes, you do get items. There are some people that are demonstrators that never go to a Stampin' Up! Event. They just get it for their discount. In that instance, then that demonstrator would be purchasing all of their items unless they are earning an incentive. So like right now, there's an incentive from Paper Pumpkin for demonstrators that if we can get 3 or more subscribers before the 10th of August, then a demonstrator is able to get a perk and have like a free tool. And there's a new tool coming out that we'll pretend like this is the tool here. It's called Take Your Pick tool, and it's kind of like picks up the sequins, kind of like how I do with the back of my paper piercing tool that I've got a mini glue dot back here. So it's like a sequin picker, and it has other pieces that you can take out and put in that adapt, and it's called Take Your Pick. So if you have 3 or more new subscribers to Paper Pumpkin, then you earn that for free. You get that tool for free. So that would be one way that a demonstrator would get an item in their hand that was not purchased, but they earned it. So I hope that answers that question. So yes, I do get some of my items for free when I attend an onstage event, or if I earn them through an incentive. Otherwise, it's my pocket that they come out of. So that's why it's a yes and yes, no and no answer. Okay, so thank you again for stopping in with me today. And I want to encourage you that if you've ever thought about being a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator for the discount, this is a great time to take advantage of those stamp pads. You get 10 stamp pads free. And I love to see people be able to take advantage of a wonderful opportunity. And yes, Stampin' Up! Does know that people, they get the starter kit, they get the discount, and then they never make any more purchases. Stampin' Up! Knows this, and it's okay. So if you have any questions that I can guide you with, then don't hesitate to contact me, because I'm here for you. Okay, last time to say goodbye. I don't think I can remember anything else. Hi, Lee. I'm so glad that you could stop by. North Carolina, you're probably getting that same weather system that we are. It's nasty out. Okay, have a fantastic day, everybody, and I'll see you again really soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching the video. Have a good day.